Hello everyone, dear colleagues, thank you for watching this video. This is a privilege to have you watching. My name is Darьya Fёdorova and I am here to present the topic classes once a week do not work. Or do they? First, let me introduce myself to you. I'm an independent online teacher for adults. I'm an author of webinars for teachers. I'm also a blog writer. It's English Teacher Journey on various platforms. And I'm also a language learner. That will be important in the next slides. But before I move on, I would like to tell you also why I am here. So the reason I'm giving this talk is that sometimes I consult the colleagues on what to do with the students, what to do with the groups. And I noticed that a lot of the colleagues are actually, they actually believe that classes once a week do not work and they are not effective. And this is why they refuse from the students. They do not accept students for classes once a week, thus losing money, or they are not ready to let's say, organize the groups, because it's very difficult to organize the groups that are get together more often than once a week. I'm talking about adults here. Yeah, I'm not an expert in teenagers and kids. So I decided to test my theory, and on my different social media platforms, I checked what people think, and you can see that around half of teachers do not consider classes once a week effective. Well, yeah, different platforms gave different results, but more or less, yeah, we can say about a half. And the other thing is that students tend to appreciate classes once a week more. So you can see, for example, on the last screen that learners consider, 67% of learners consider classes once a week effective. Anyways, that's the tendency. And I'm here to kind of let you, give you a permission to teach once a week with pleasure and pride. And here's why.
Хотите постоянно развиваться в преподавании иностранных языков? Школа Дмитрия Никитина проводит образовательные тренинги, конференции и курсы для преподавателей. Подробности о событиях можно узнать по ссылке в описании.
Let me tell you a story. I've recently become a mom, and this picture is here because it's a real representation of what the new mom actually looks like. And I've been using social media a lot lately, specifically during late night feeds, when I can't control what content I'm consuming. And most of the content in my feed is about maternity, and it's also mostly in English. So once late at night, this post popped up. I would like you to look at this post and tell me if you get what's written there. Well, did you get what's written there? If you need more time, you can always pause. Well, I did get what's written there. However, well, the post is about the physical and emotional problems of the new moms and how they feel and so on. When this post popped up on my feed, I understood it. However, I didn't understand quite a few words, and I was kind of confused. Like, why don't I understand all the words? Like, my English is perfect. Well, that's what I think about my English at night. However, it's not. And only after that, I realized that the post is not in English, it's in Swedish, right? I didn't even understand that it was in Swedish. And the reason I understood the text itself is this. This is Alex Lebedev. He is my teacher, my Swedish teacher. We studied once a week for 2 years together. I mean, I studied with him. Most of the time it looked like that, like on the second screen. Yeah, this is how it felt. And it was a lot of fun. I was very, very motivated 2.5 years ago to start learning Swedish. I couldn't afford 2 classes a week, so I asked Alex to let me study once a week, and I promised that I would do a lot of homework, and you know how it works. So I did not do any homework, more or less at all. Sometimes I revised some of the words that we studied, but mostly, unfortunately, I gave up on my homework very early in our course. Anyways, we studied like that for around 2 years, so a little bit less before my maternity leave. And the result you can see over here. This is my language certificate, which I am very proud of because it says B1. So a solid intermediate level in Swedish, 2 years, classes once a week, so it did work. Alex tested me for different skills. You can see here it's listening, speaking, writing, and reading. And all in all, it appeared to be a level B1. I was very surprised, to be honest, because I didn't believe that classes once a week could bring me to this level. And here I am. Why that worked? Well, actually, I believe that consistency is more important than frequency in our studies. But I would like you to think about this question. What's better, studying 3 times a week for 3 months or 1 time a week for 9 months? And why? I would like you to have more time to think about this slide, to think about this question, so you can pause, and maybe you can even write down some of the answers that you're thinking about it. So I'm not going to pause here, but you can. I have an answer for that question. I believe that consistency is more important, and this is why. Do you recognize the man on the slide? Again, if you need more time to think about it, you can pause the video. Well, that's Herman Ebbinghaus. Does it ring a bell? Do you know this name? It's totally okay if you don't, because that's a difficult name. However, he discovered the forgetting curve and the spacing effect. And I'm sure that most of you heard about some parts, forgetting curve or spacing effect or spaced repetition during your work. And it was the end of the 19th century. And what it actually is, yeah? So the spacing effect means that learning is more effective when study sessions are spaced out. And more information is encoded into long-term memory, which is very important for learning language, by spaced study sessions, also known as spaced repetition, than by massed presentation like cramming. And the forgetting curve is another term coined by this scientist, is that means that the decline, there is a decline of memory retention in time, which means that we can remember less in time, and information is lost over time when there is no attempt to retain it. Right, so if we do not address to the information that we've learned, it's inevitable that we will actually forget it. This is a little bit of visual representation, and you have probably seen graphs like that. And this is Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. This is what it looks like. So look, if we remember most of the information straight after it has been presented to us, with time, we lose most of it, right? And you can see that it's about a month there. So in a month, everything will be lost unless we actually come back to this information. And this is the spaced, this is the visual representation of spaced repetition. And you can see that if we do not try and come back to the information, yeah, the forgetting will happen pretty quickly, and we will lose most of the information in 2 months. However, if we do remind ourselves of the information, yeah, we are able to retain, we might be able to retain most of it by the end of 2 months. I'm not gonna go into details of how that works because spaced repetition is a topic of itself. However, this is a thing, and it's been a thing since the end of the 19th century when this psychological phenomenon was discovered, right?
Хотите постоянно развиваться в преподавании иностранных языков? Школа Дмитрия Никитина проводит образовательные тренинги, конференции и курсы для преподавателей. Подробности о событиях можно узнать по ссылке в описании.
So that's why, actually, based on that, I believe that consistency is key. Of course, you can study for 3 months very intensively, and you can get a lot of wonderful results, and you can feel the progress. I actually did it myself. I once tried extensive studying with my German, and I studied for 5 hours a day for 2 weeks, which gave me perfect results. However, in a year, I had to start all over again, right? Because I didn't come back to this information. So consistency is key in my book. But how to promote it, right? Let's get practical here. How can we make our students study for longer periods of time with us? And you might have an answer for that, right? Say motivation. Yeah, you can say, obviously, we need to motivate our students. However, I believe that motivation is overrated. I'm sorry about that. Everybody's speaking about motivation. However, motivation comes and goes. There is this curve. So once you're motivated, then you're not. So take my Swedish classes, for example. I was extremely motivated in the beginning, but then, it was 2022 and a lot of stuff happened, and I lost my motivation pretty quickly. However, I didn't stop my classes. And I came to classes every week. So I'm sure it's more about, consistency, being able to stick to the classes rather than being motivated all the time. It's just not possible for a prolonged period of time. So as teachers, what can we do to promote consistency, and what can we do to make our students come to classes again and again and not drop the courses? Well, first of all, I believe that it's great to create comfortable learning environment. And what I mean by that? Is a space, online or offline, where everybody feels welcome, where everybody feels that they can relax and they can share their experiences and their thoughts. And how to promote it? Well, there are many ideas. I would share just some of them with you that worked for me most of the times. Well, first of all, I believe in rules. I believe that the rules should be set before the course has started, and I've got a special contract, special agreement that my students agreed to. It's called oferta in Russian, and if you need my option of this agreement, please contact me. No problem, I'll share it with you. But what I wanted to draw your attention to here is that I put this point in the agreement that it's important, that it's necessary to be friendly in the group, and you can't be aggressive to other students or a teacher during the course. So if you are, I as a teacher I have this option to actually remove you from the group. To be honest, this has never happened in my classes, and I do believe that this little rule is actually, well, it worked, because the students, they read, they agree, and they know that's the rule, right? So if they disagree, if they know they can't contain themselves, well, they probably do not join the course, right? If that's the rule. Another thing which I find very helpful is to not be so serious all the time. We as teachers tend to be very academic, very strict, what have you. However, I believe that even with adult students, it's nice to be goofy sometimes. And as you can see here, that's a little group of two ladies, and just playing around with some filters, just playing around with some pictures, and inviting them to actually bring a cup of coffee or tea or wine if they want to. It actually worked magic for this group. They were able to relax, and they actually had a very good time and lasted for more than a year as a group. Another thing that kind of comes out of the previous topic is to create sense of community. For us as grown-ups, it's really difficult to build new social circles. It's really difficult to build new social connections. And we don't have a lot of options. What have we? Our family, our work, maybe some sports. Yes. So when we try new activity, when we take up new activity, it might be very important for us to have a community inside it. And this is what I noticed actually promotes consistency. This is what makes people come back to the classes every week, is actually if they feel that they have a community where they come. And what I find really, really effective in this case is actually to have group chats. Here you can see the screens of one of the group chats. The photo is cut like that for privacy matters. I didn't want to show you the faces. However, the group chats, so the students, when they come to class only once a week, I don't think it's enough to create a community, right? So they need communication outside of the classes, and group chats work perfectly for that. This is the group chat of my advanced group, and it's a wonderful story, actually. So the students in this group, they lived in different countries and in different cities. They had never seen each other offline before. However, at one point in our group chat, I see this photo, and those are two people from different parts of the world together in one photo. It was just absolutely amazing. They met in Berlin. They had amazing time. They introduced their children. I don't know. It was just it made me a little bit happy, and everybody was very happy for them. And this is the sense of community. That when you actually are somewhere close to the person you study with, you can actually contact this person, and you can meet up, and so on and so forth. So this is a magical tool. So I highly recommend you to create the group chats, and also encourage your student to communicate there. And actually, some of the next points will be connected with this little idea. Another thing that actually helps, again, it comes from the top two, is to organize meaningful conversations, right? We're all adults. We do not want to talk about, abstract things that have nothing to do with us. The things that we discuss in classes should be meaningful to us. They should be meaningful to the students. And here's how you can promote it based on my personal experience. Again, this is the screen from the group chat. What I like about the group is that they communicate a lot, and this is also great writing practice for them. However, that's not the point. So in class, we study with a book. So I prefer studying with a book, with a good course book. But we were speaking about some physical activities, if I'm not mistaken, and it all kind of, shifted, the discussion shifted to nutrition and the way our sugar levels work, and how they help, how that helps our physical activity. They might sound super geeky to you. However, that sparked a very, very active conversation in the group. And this is what we're striving for, right? So we are striving for our students to actually find some meaning in what they are discussing, to be engaged. And this is how they practice their lectures. This is how they practice their communication skills while being engaged into the conversation. Another example here, it's just an example that you can personalize practically everything. It's another group, I think it's upper intermediate level. We were discussing architecture, and there were some wonderful, wonderful illustrations in the book, and I presented some wonderful illustrations on Jamboard. And then I let them go into breakout rooms and discuss their favorite structures, their favorite buildings, the buildings that inspire them. And I monitored. And I did a very, very simple thing. So I just listened, wrote down what buildings they're discussing. And while they were in breakout rooms, I put that on the screen. Yeah, I put the pictures on the screen. When they came back, we had a feedback session. And they were surprised to see that, right? They were surprised to see their buildings, their structures on the board. And this sparked the conversation once again. They started asking each other, oh, what's that? What's that? Why do you like this? And again, building the sense of community and creating comfortable learning environment. What I found amazing is that two girls living in different cities met at some point, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks after, and they went to this Catholic church in Moscow together because they were in a breakout room together and they discussed it at length. So see, that is meaningful communication. That means something to your student, and this is very important to promote it. And the last but not least, right? What I find very effective in my work is giving students consistent feedback and sense of achievement, right? So what I mean by that, sorry, I will come back to this photo a little bit later. So what I mean by that is that students need to know where they are in this journey, right? So you can give them some kind of roadmap to understand where they are. And actually, if you work with a book, it's perfect. It's a perfect roadmap, They can open the book, they can open the contents, they can see where they are in the course, and this is a roadmap of itself. However, if you do not teach with a book, this is nice if your students can have access to your, study program. You probably have it. Yeah, so just showing them that can make wonders, right? The students need to be given feedback on their their language skills and on their work in general. So that probably should happen every now and then, and it's perfect if it happens every class or every week or every month, so that they know what to expect and they know how they are doing. And another thing which is very important is to give them the sense of achievement, right? It can be provided with feedback like, hey, great job, you couldn't do this, now you can do that, right? But also we can show it to them on their own, it's even better. And this is an example. This is an example of a recycling revision session with my students, and that's a group of adult students again. And I put them and I created just a little Jeopardy game for them, and they revised I think 2 or 3 months of learning. And that was a lot of fun, and scoring and getting these scores, they realized, wow, that's an achievement. Wow, I could score. Wow, this is so cool. So yeah, sense of achievement. It doesn't have to be in the form of a game, we are also people. We can't always come up with some exciting activities, but just giving students the opportunity to apply their knowledge, something they learned maybe 3 months ago, right? Or 6 months ago, to apply while speaking, yet creating this, possibilities for them to use their knowledge gives them a sense of achievement. And if you just kind of pay attention to that, oh, have you noticed how you used this structure from half a year ago. That gives them the sense of achievement. And yeah, I really love showing my students that. And I am pretty sure that's one of the reasons they stick with classes for longer. And I just wanted to draw your attention to this screenshot because, well, this is a lovely group. It's like the amount of people changed from time to time, but the core of the group stayed with me for 2.5 years. And they did give me wonderful, wonderful feedback when our classes unfortunately were over when I started my maternity leave. However, 2.5 years, this is consistency I'm talking about. Yeah, once a week, but 2.5 years, and that worked magic for the year, for their English skills and the ability to speak freely when and how they want.
Хотите постоянно развиваться в преподавании иностранных языков? Школа Дмитрия Никитина проводит образовательные тренинги, конференции и курсы для преподавателей. Подробности о событиях можно узнать по ссылке в описании.
Well, I guess that will be it. Yeah, our timing, my time is over. However, I would like to thank you very much for watching this recording, and I would like to keep in touch. I'm English Teacher Johnny on various platforms, and most of the platforms you can find me like that. This is also a QR code that you can use to access my website. And from there, you can access my social media platforms. So please do join. Please, let's keep in touch. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer. You can contact me anywhere. And if you want to get some materials that I was talking about during this talk, please don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to do so. Thank you very much again for watching this. It's a pleasure to work with such an audience.